And for the 14th Istanbul Apparel Conference, we continue with our conference. And we have very energetic guests. I really feel the positive energy. That is the showing the production and the export of Turkey. We have very important names of the apparel industry of the country. And I can actually see the enthusiasm for production and export on your face. İbrahim and the CEO of Karafi Textile. You're coming from Gaziantep, I guess, so we'll be speaking about investment, growth, export with you. And you have a huge, actual investment for Turkey in Gaziantep, the largest new cell investment. Would you please tell me what it is going to just bring us to the Turkish economy, and also major investment, actually? Maybe for those who doesn't know what it is. Of course, people from the industry would know about this, but first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for your kind words. And now, we are originating from Gaziantep, 33 years in the field of textile, and all our investments are in Gaziantep. And for many long years, starting with thread, we actually have covered all the processes so far for the production. And we are one of the 10 biggest integrated facilities in the country. And with regards to sustainable fiber that we've been working on, in particular, how we can actually produce sustainable products. That's what we've been working on. For the last 5 years, we've been working on the feasibility. This is lyocell fiber. What is that? In this type of, this is actually wood-based. Therefore, 100% cellulose, so it is totally natural. I will just get into the details of fiber in particular, but in the production process, all the solvents that are used at the same time are organic and natural. And therefore, there is no harm given to the environment, and at the same time, it is not only sustainable, but also biodegradable as a fiber. You know, in the industry, so many giant companies in particular are working on sustainable products, trying to reduce the carbon footprint, working on some, for example, set the target for 2025, some 2023, how we can actually bring the carbon footprint down to zero. People are working on this, all the companies. So it means that there will be more interest on natural fiber. So in this lyocell is brand new, only produced by 5 countries: China, India, UK, Austria, and the United States. And Turkey will be the 6th country to produce this fiber. Lyocell. We are more than happy for this. Why? Because Turkey, in particular, in the international platform, representing the country as such, is so important. And at the same time, it's a huge 4-staged investment, 400 million euros worth. And we have just completed the 100 million euros worth of the first step of the investment, and 20,000 tons fiber will be produced by the end of the year. Yes, we have finished with the test period, the prototype, so we will just move to the commercial volume by the end of the year. As I told you, this is actually with more interest and demand on natural fiber, there also will be more demand for Turkey. And 20,000 tons of product is coming to Turkey as import. Next year, this 50 million euros of import will actually be stopped. Therefore, you also will have a positive contribution to the current deficit of the country, I guess. Yes, absolutely. So the money will stay in the country. So the 4th stage will be completed next year, and we'll move to, again, 80,000, and that's how the market will grow. So by 2025, according to the projections, if investments all work so well, by 2025, 200 million euros of an input to the country will not be the case. So it's an environment-friendly factor, as I understand. So at one side, you actually have especially you will meet the requirements of the domestic producers, but at the same time a great performance for import. In ISO 500, you're at the top 200, so it means that you also have new targets on your own. Yes, absolutely. 15% of growth that we have on the annual basis. Of course, our main goal in here is actually to be sustainable. How we can achieve sustainable growth. That's what we're working on. For example, the extent that you damage the environment. And, in all of our investments, we always pay attention to the environment. As you know, in August, for days, for weeks, we suffered from the wildfires, as you know. On the top of this, we suffered from the flood as a disaster. And so many casualties and loss of lives, unfortunately. On the other hand, we also had the sea problem, mucilage problem at the sea. I don't want to say people are dumping industrial waste on this, but I think it is just a result of how we pollute the sea. This is no more sustainable. And as you all know, we are speaking about ozone layer depletion and about climate change and increase in the weather and temperature, high temperatures. We're calling it natural disasters, but they're actually man-made. Looking at natural means act of God without the hand of man. But in saying looking at the natural disasters that I'm speaking about in here is actually a result of the human activity increasing the high temperature levels all around the world, and the wildfires and the floods everywhere, not only in Turkey, it's all around the globe. So the world population is almost 8 billion, so it is increasing so fastly. It means that both production and consumption increase. So if we cannot change our habits of consumption, this is no more sustainable. Therefore, in making investment, we pay attention not only to growth, but sustainable growth. Why? Because, as you all know, as long as it goes with the natural disasters, the world will not be habitable. Yes, that's actually the title is of the innovative approach or innovative practices in sustainable raw materials. That's the title of the session. So, at once is the sustainable raw materials. On the top of this, you also need to have some innovative practice. Lyocell, I guess, is heading towards that. Export is so important for Turkey. We are heading towards Europe, and due to the pandemics, there is actually a demand for the Turkish apparel industry rather than the Far East. So how do you see this potential as actually a sustainable raw material producer? You are actually investing on the potential, right? Totally. We're speaking about the current deficit, and as you all know, we always have current deficit each and every year. And so as to prevent the current deficits, many of the products that we import from abroad should be made with local content and nationalized. And for the fiber production, there are 4 different types of fiber. Very briefly, I can say, first of all, cellulosic, totally from wood, and bamboo, modal, viscose, and lyocell. So, and maybe as a parenthesis, I would like to say 4 of these raw materials that I told you about are from cellulose, from the wood, but due to the process itself, there are certain toxins that contaminate the environment. That's quite interesting. You're saying that the product is natural, but as it contaminates the environment, you start to question that it is natural or not. Yes, absolutely. For example, for viscose, eucalyptus. Lyocell is eucalyptus. For bamboo, it is the bamboo tree. For modal, at the same time, it is in particular beech tree. So you have to use a solvent, okay, and to dissolve them. And in this solvent, it's only lyocell fiber that you can use organic solvent. 7.5 million tons of fiber produced, and 6.5 tons viscose. And in looking at the viscose, it is mostly in Asian countries and in China. And the problem here is that in China, in viscose production, when you look at the countries, you see that actually there is actually a toxic fume on the air. You cannot see actually the sun, even the sky. And I mean, forget about the sunlight. I mean, it's the sulfur gas. Quite toxic chemical substance is emitted. While speaking about actually reducing the greenhouse effect, we're just speaking about a process that pollutes the environment, so this is no more sustainable. China, at the same time, is no more giving a permit for the new viscose facilities, even restricting, because it results in too much air pollution and environmental pollution as well. So, for this unnatural, or better to say, the fiber that is not naturally produced will move to natural fiber. Lyocell's share would increase a lot by this way. As I told you, 5 countries only produce this fiber. Turkey would be the 6th one. So, from this perspective, I would say we're speaking about the growing market. A raw material that's totally imported, because rather than acrylic and polyester, there is nothing else that we produce locally, domestically. So with some innovative technologies, we will produce them in Turkey. We will protect the environment. There will be green production, so we'll be sustainable. On the top of this, we also will contribute positively to the current deficit of the country. That's the reason why we have decided for such an investment. You are right, actually, Mr. Kara. Everything that you're saying is so positive. Thanks to this investment, you succeed in doing so. But what I observe is that we, as the normal seasons, for environment, and it's actually only, for example, the mucilage, when we observe it at the surface of the sea, we put the blame on the environment, or we're saying that there's the wildfires, so there's something to do with the climate change, high temperatures, and so on. So the public awareness, the public opinion is different. That's where the future is. Sustainable raw materials approach to this is you're a bit ahead of the agenda, I would say. So, especially there is the leadership of the European Union and Turkey's relations to the EU, and I think that's where we're heading towards, especially because we are trading partners with the EU. You're right. I mean, last year, there was a declaration by the EU for plastic and polyester products for restriction of their use. As I provided you the 2019 data, 111 million tons of fiber produced in 2019 and 59 million tons of the polyester. So it actually corresponds to 53% in terms of the fiber produced. Therefore, unfortunately, polyester is not biodegradable. And the disadvantage to the industry is that the products that are produced, only 1% of those can be recycled. And when I first read it, I was so surprised. Why? 73% of the clothes end up under the soil. We try to dispose of them either by burying in the ground or burning it. And especially European Union, so as to prevent this, and for all synthetic and polyester products are gradually reduced, their use reduced. So as the companies in Turkey, I guess, we have to act early. Of course, I'm not saying that everyone can possibly make such huge investments, but majority of the stakeholders in the industry, at least, they can actually show more respect to the environment. We are sensitive towards the environment, but we don't know where to start. What is carbon footprint? How we can measure carbon footprint? Or what is the carbon emission in my production facility? Or what is, for example, oxidizing carbon? And with the Paris climate change, European Union had so many projects and grants as well. So it would be nice to start early, apply for these grants, and take action earlier if possible by being proactive, because the late we are in our awareness, we would actually miss these grants and opportunities because nothing is sustainable. We cannot go on any further as such. And, the title is Innovative Practices in Sustainable Raw Materials. But listening to you, it's not something to do only with producing the raw material. Even completing, even the disposal of the raw material is so important. I mean, it is a process that you should consider from the beginning to the end. Lyocell is so important as an investment. So I'm wondering what other targets you have in terms of lyocell, in terms of export. I think you already have a potential. There's no doubt about this. But we have new targets as Karafi textile. As I told you, in the industries that we act, we're mostly focusing on how we can produce sustainable raw materials. As I told you, we're also acting in hygiene and packaging. 8 different patents that we received so far. And for the raw materials that are used, how they can be produced from recycled products. But it's not only for textile. What we're doing is that different product ranges that we have, how we can use recyclable products, so how we can give less harm to the environment. That's the approach that we have. And lyocell is, of course, our biggest investment, the largest investment. But, of course, also in the other areas, we're just trying to search for patents, measuring carbon footprint, and trying to understand your carbon emission from your business activities. There are certain data that can be used on this. But we're really at the very lower limits. And we're not happy saying that, that is perfect. We're at the lower limit, so we're doing fine. No, we are just trying to bring it down to zero. Thank you very much, Mr. Kara. A great interview and being together with you. For lyocell, it's actually a great story in Gaziantep, so important for the environment, and same for the Turkish economy as well. I mean, because as you all know, you will be producing a product that Turkey is importing in Turkey locally. So by the end of the year, it will actually be out of the factory. So 2025 is the final date. 200 million euros worth of an import will not be the case. On the top of this, we'll start export by 2025. Perfect. And thank you very much for this interview. And the Vice President of Karafi Textile, so we'll continue.